I think most of the public also understands that there has been massive fraud in Minnesota and that it has been perpetrated overwhelmingly, almost entirely, by the Somali-born community there. Just as a stat, they are so far 82 of the 92 defendants charged for this fraud per the U.S. Attorney's Office in Minnesota. Okay, so 82 of 92, I think it's fair to say this is a Somali problem in America. So the president got into this. He announced a war on fraud. And this is where Ilhan Omar got super exercised and started screaming at him, "That's a lie!" and more. Watch.
Where members of the Somali community have pillaged an estimated $19 billion from the American taxpayer. Oh, we have all the information. I am officially announcing the war on fraud to be led by our great Vice President J.D. Vance. The Somali pirates who ransacked Minnesota remind us that there are large parts of the world where bribery, corruption, and lawlessness are the norm, not the exception.
So he says Somali pirates. J.D. Vance and Mike Johnson start laughing. They cut to Ilhan Omar, who's just looking distressed in the audience. But she was yelling, "That's a lie," when he said they've been plundering America. There's no more stunning example than Minnesota, where members of the Somali community have pillaged an estimated $19 billion with a B, from the American taxpayer. Well, here again, the federal prosecutors say it is at least $9 billion up to $18 billion. They said they're still trying to determine just how much of that remaining $9 billion was part of this same Somali fraud scheme where they used these 14 Minnesota programs meant to help people, but abused them and didn't help anybody other than lining their own pockets for fake programs involving nutrition, housing, and autism research. Remember that one? It was all bullshit. And that's just scratching the surface, as Trump said, because the fraud went well beyond that. If you want to go back a couple of years to COVID, they're looking into that now at the federal government level, not just in Minnesota, but in many states. But there's nothing he said that was false at all, Carl. And this was a moment I would suggest the president welcomed.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's two things about this story that I don't understand when it comes to Ilhan Omar. And the first, I don't understand why she would defend this. I think, to me, she ought to get out in front of it, and she ought to go back to her community, and she ought to say, we're better than this. We don't want to be known for this. We need to root this out. You need to help the government. She's not acting like, to my mind, like a member of Congress who's protective of the Treasury, but rather like, an aggrieved minority who feels she's being singled out. And I don't think that's the right move, because this fraud is real. The other thing, and I don't think it's just going to be Somali in Minnesota. I'm in California this week, and I can only imagine the fraud that's been going on here. These stories are starting to come out. But remember this, Megyn, years ago, when I first started covering the immigration issue, people who wanted to become legal immigrants had to sign that they would not be a burden on the taxpayer. They weren't. It wasn't that they weren't eligible for poverty programs, but the expectation was you signed a paper that you wouldn't do it. You would work. You had to take these pledges. You had to have a job. You had to have a plan, and somewhere along the line that just got thrown out. And these Somalis who came to Minnesota as refugees, and their country was just in a terrible shape. They went on the dole immediately, and they were apparently encouraged to do so. And apparently that's common across the country. And I wonder when we got away from that ethic, because we never had a conversation about it. No president ever talked about it. We never said, okay, we're taking. And
no citizen would ever vote for it.
That's right. And it wouldn't be a popular thing. And I'm talking now about legal immigration. And so during the Biden administration, we went from that new norm where legal immigrants are expected to be able to, go on welfare and take other poverty programs to then illegal immigrants are also allowed to do this. This was a bridge that, nobody ever voted for that. And I don't understand how we got to this place. And I think defending it makes the Democrats look bad.
But can I just say, Carl, part of the problem, the reason she's defending it is because she's tied up in it. Let's not let the Democratic politicians in Minnesota in particular, but in any of these other states, off the hook. I mean, Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, all these folks, because the Somali community became a powerful voting bloc. They were funneling this money back to politicians in the forms of contributions. And, oh, by the way, anybody who criticized this was labeled a racist. And so nobody wanted to do that. And so they looked the other way while this went on and ballooned into this extraordinary scandal. And so she has to, I think, say, instead of saying, look, we got to get to the bottom of this, she's saying, well, it's not true. Trump's a liar and he's a racist, and try to deflect, because I think the truth is she's received contributions and she's had her picture taken with a lot of these people that are now on trial.
The Ilhan Omar moment was capitalized on by her. She did it for effect. She wanted her little viral moment to look like a badass, and she posted a clip of herself during the State of the Union yelling, "You've killed Americans." Here it is in SOT 8.
Penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Okay, you guys, you were there. You remember 2009. You lie. Joe Wilson was admonished by the House as a result. We were all shocked and horrified in the political class that somebody would do that at the State of the Union. She did it over and over and over. She was desperate to get that clip so she could post it.
And then brags
so
about it.
You tell me, Tom Bevan, is she going to be admonished by the House, or are they going to be as outraged about this as the left was about Joe Wilson?
Look, you would hope so. I mean, but I think there's probably a double standard. I don't know that Mike Johnson is going to push this the way this is. Unfortunately, I think this might be the new normal. That particularly when it comes to Trump, that Democrats just think that they, it's okay to mix it up with the president of the United States in the middle of the State of the Union address. Again, not too long ago, that was considered a horrible breach of decorum. And now it's like, not only are they not ashamed of it, they're bragging about it and raising money off of it.
Well,
and Joe Wilson did it one time. He yelled out,
one time.
"You lie." That was it. It was over. She was a heckler. She was Don Rickles out there last night, Carl.
Yeah, well, the thing is that I don't think Mike Johnson should do anything about this, because the last time he censured a Democrat for bad behavior was Adam Schiff, and they got him elected to the Senate. So maybe it would.
I think it was his lies that got him elected to the Senate. His many lies about Trump and Russia.
Right, but what if they censor her and she decides she's going to run for the Senate in Minnesota? Then where will we be?
Yeah. 2009.
I mean, that just can't happen.
2009 was a long time ago. Andy. That's I agree with you.
We were so cute back then.
Yeah, but it was a long time ago. I think this is the new normal, and I just think it continues. And I think if anything, it gets worse.
Speaking of so cute, my daughter, who's only 14, she just kept saying that about Mike Johnson. She's like, he's just so adorable. He does have a very nice face, like he has just the right amount of smile on for Trump's quips and just the right amount of serious. And his tan tie grew on me. First, I was like, who wears a tan tie? Nobody wears a tan tie, certainly not to the State of the Union. But it had a little sparkle in it. I think it had a little sheen. And over time, I kind of fell in love with it. It was like kind of a bold fashion move. I really like Mike Johnson. I know he's controversial, but you really will not meet a more affable person on Capitol Hill.
It's funny you say that, because I turned to my wife and I'm like, JD's tie is just like this much too short. He just needs it to come down to the belt buckle.
It was. And
it's a blue tie, and I love the baby blue tie. I think I have the same tie, but it was just a little too short.
Just a smidge.
Yep.
Yes. And what else? As somebody who's got a mild touch of OCD, Trump's hair, when he walked into the chamber, you can still see it a little here, but when he walked into the chamber, it clearly got messed up over by the part, right above the part.
Right.
And I was like, some woman needs to do him a solid and just, pat it down, like lick the fingers and pat it down.
I was saying that same thing.
And as he was like,
being a germaphobe, I'm sure he'd love that if someone reached over and did that.
Oh, well, just pat it at least. I'm like, Amy Coney Barrett, Elena Kagan, it's up to you. He's almost on stage. Can you imagine if Elena Kagan?
That would have been awesome if Kagan
That would have been a moment.
International disputes, inflation, rising national debt, digital currency. There's a never-ending list of reasons gold has risen over 700% in the last 20 years. And a never-ending list of reasons smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals with Birch Gold Group. Gold can thrive during uncertainty, which is why it's a crucial part of a balanced financial strategy. It gives you peace of mind, given all the events that could impact the U.S. economy. See if holding gold in a tax-sheltered retirement account is right for you. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. Just text MK to the number 989898 to receive your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, consider letting Birch Gold help you diversify with gold so you too can have peace of mind, regardless of the uncertainty. Text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.